So sometimes when life takes over and things get busy, we lose sight of the nurturing of the growth of the practice. And this isn't just for chiropractors. We're talking about if you have a practice that serves the general public, whether it's an online practice or a brick and mortar, there is nurturing that needs to happen online, in emails and texts, however it is that you do your thing. And what I find that happens in my world with my practice is I get busy and then I'll forget to do the thing. So if I'm able to set it up for success, where this is what I do for practice members before visit one, this is what I do if somebody expressed interest in my care. This is what I do if somebody messages me on Facebook. And I set all of that up in a way that honors and protects my time as well as their time and their money. I win, right? And I think the hardest thing about this, and I'm going to give you my first tip now, and I need my little tool, but I don't see it here. I'll find it. Oh, here it is. So I think one of the most important things is that we have automations in place, but they don't lose the personal experience. They don't drop the true feeling of being connected to you in a text message or an email. There are ways to do that. And I think what we see, we as in my team here at Staffless Practice, what we see most is that people are putting automation in place where it just shouldn't be. It's not personal. And it's turning people off. It turns people away from the practice because what they're looking for is literally a personal experience. So how do you set it up to serve all of the people, but also honor your time and your energy so that when you're off, and when you're on, you're on? And I'm going to share a few things with you tonight. I'm sharing this with you in light of feeding two birds with one scone, because we did this today in our group coaching experience, which is called the Staffless Practice Club. And I forgot to hit record. So I'm going to do this now. And I said, you know what, I'll just go live and share it with everybody. So the first thing I want to say about setting up automations is it's really important for me to have a sheet of paper next to my desk that has a list of all of the automations that I have going right now. The reason I do this is because I might forget that I have an active campaign for people who express interest in my care, and then I'll spend hours creating a new one, because once it's set, you kind of forget about it. So I love the idea of taking a legal pad, this is my tool, and writing down all of the automations. This is what we call the yellow sheet system. And you have all of your automations. It has to be on one page, and it's literally taped to your desk wall, so that if you get the brilliant idea of creating another automation, you just look over here and say, nope, I already have that in place. Let's go ahead and edit it. So why do we do it on paper and not on the computer? Because things tend to get lost in like the deep corners of the computer, right? And we're like, oh yeah, I have 10 funnels going right now that I'm paying for on ClickFunnels. I forgot, right? So that's why we use a piece of paper right next to where we are, or in your notebook, or wherever you're going to see it front and center when you do this work. Okay, so that's the first recommendation. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and share what we're calling the flywheel. It's the Perfect Practice Member Flywheel system for Staffless Practice. If you don't already know, we do so much on social media for teaching wellness practitioners how to run a practice without staff, or with staff who shows up only to do what they're great at doing. And our promise is to cut admin while you're growing the practice, and to do so efficiently and effectively. And the biggest thing is with joy. The goal is everything is joyful. So let me go in and share my screen with you. Okay. So this is our flywheel system. And the concept is, I'm going to talk to chiropractors. If you do something other than chiropractic, just replace what you're hearing with your offer. Okay. So in chiropractic, so the idea is that you have your offers here. And the perfect practice member goal offer is if you do the planning and you think about your avatar and like the big package, like the golden package that you know is going to be as effective as possible for that person, that's your perfect practice member offer. That's the goal. We want everybody in our practice to have the perfect practice member offer because we know that that's the straightest course to creating great care. It's not like a visit by visit care plan. It's not maybe let's start with a month and see how it happens. It's I want to get well and stay well with chiropractic. So the idea of this is that there's something for free that you offer. It might be a newsletter or a blog or a mom's group, or I love the idea of offering the ICPA magazine Pathways as your free offer. All the moms in the practice or, friends of moms can stop by for a copy, or it's something you bring to events or whatever it might be. So think of something free. And then your next offer is going to be a lower ticket and less time investment. So it might be an initial consultation. The next offer is like the toe dipping experience into your practice. It might be making a commitment to care visit by visit. The next offer might be a care plan, but just a very non-threatening care plan to somebody who feels threatened. So it might be a month of care. And you guys, let me just put the disclosure out there. I'm not telling you how to organize your care plans. I'm just giving you general ideas on marketing. Do what you're allowed to do in your area. Okay, let me just very clearly say that. So the goal though is I want my person to have a solid care plan. I want them to have reeval scheduled. I want them to bring their family in to see me. I want the whole thing for this person. So then the idea is, so first thing you do is you plan these out really well. And you're like, okay, these are the things that I'm doing and that I'm offering to my community. And then you have a nurturing sequence for each phase to move into the next phase. So the free offer will have a nurturing sequence for your first paid offer. The first paid offer will then have a nurturing sequence to the second, and so on and so forth until you land at the perfect practice member offer. What I find that happens is a lot of times a practitioner has people in either a free Facebook group or a free moms group or a blog or a newsletter, and they're talking about their perfect practice member offer. But the first step is to start at the low ticket offer number 2, which is probably an initial consultation. And then if you have people who say yes to just a little bit, like they're toe dippers, you're then nurturing them to what it looks like to be someone who's a little bit deeper in on the flywheel and so on and so forth. So my first recommendation to you, and if you want a copy of this, just let me know. Drop a link below and I'll drop a copy of this in your DM. Is you figure out what your offers are. Some people call this a product ladder. What do you want to offer to your practice members? What's allowed where you practice? Please, follow the rules, kids. And what feels like it's in fair exchange, that you're giving great care and you're still staying in that exchange place that you want to be. So that's the first step to the flywheel system. And now we're going to get into the fun part. Let's look at what these offer nurture sequence look like. What are the options, right? So I'm going to, I want to pull up this PDF. I already brought it up. I just want to make sure it shows up where I am. Let's see here. Okay, we're good. So, okay. So this is called the A-frame workflow workshop. I have issues with names, you guys, just get over it. So the A-frame, the concept of the A-frame, and this is a Staffless practice thing, this is the foundation of moving a practice forward. You got attracting your perfect practice member as one leg of the A. You got acquiring their yes, which my buddy Russ Rosen, I dropped a link below this live. He has a free group, which would be the first part of his flywheel. And he is so good at teaching people how to acquire the yes from your practice members. And then the next stage is aligning your practice members, once you've acquired the yes, with your vision of wellness in your practice. And then finally, the final stage is adaptation. So you adapting to a busier practice, them adapting to a new way of life, ideally, a new care plan, ideally, and that's the A-frame. So within the staffless practice world, we're always week 1, we talk about attract, week 2, acquire, week 3, align, and week 4, adapt. We're always talking about these 4 pieces in light of running a practice with joy front and center. So what I want to see, and again, if you want this document, let me know, send me a message and I'll get it over to you. This is just going to give you a list of the possibilities of components of your flywheel nurturing system. So every nurturing system starts with a trigger. The trigger could be that you tag a group of people, whatever the tag name is. The trigger could be that they sign up on a form. The trigger could be that they schedule an appointment. If you're using something like MailChimp or Constant Contact, the trigger could be that you added their group to the email campaign and off it goes. If you're using a texting program like Simple Texting, the trigger could be that you tag the client within that group and then you send a group text out. So there's always a trigger. And then here are the options of what you can include in your flywheel nurture. So 1 is you can send emails. 2 is you can send text messages. 3 is you can add them to a pipeline and it moves them along a certain stage, like a staging system. 4 is you can send them what's called a voicemail drop, and a voicemail drop looks like you called, but you didn't, right? So, and then they have a voicemail on their phone and they're like, I didn't hear the phone ring. It's like a really cool feature that I'm going to show you the practice suite in a minute. It's something that the practice suite offers. So figure out what you can delay different pieces. You can do all kinds of really cool things in a nurturing sequence. The idea, though, if you remember, is what do you want to include when you're moving them from the free thing to the low ticket thing, to the next ticket thing, to the next ticket thing? Do you want them to get an email? We call it the Fantastic 3. Do you want them to get an email, a text, and a voicemail drop? Do you want to do that in each stage? Like, okay, you are in wellness care now, and we are looking at the possibility of bringing in your friends and family. That would be an example of a voicemail drop. Or do you want to just use certain features at certain parts of the flywheel? These are the things that we coach on with our clients. What does it look like for you in your practice? That's why when people knock on our virtual door and they're like, what's your program and what does it cost? And I'm like, it's not cookie cutter. It really depends on what your practice needs. That's the answer. So then we go into a complimentary session where we're chit-chatting and I ask a lot of questions and I figure out if I can help. And if I can, we put together a program for you. That's how our coaching program works. So I now want to show you the practice suite. I'm going to stop share for a minute and pull the right screen up so I'm not showing you all my stuff. I hope that you guys are getting this so far and it's not too overwhelming to you. Some of my pals who started practice when I did, they're still on paper and this kind of stuff really freaks them out. And I get it. I always say that half of us leaned into technology and half of us leaned away from it. And if you leaned away from it when it boomed, you're in a pickle because the world's running on technology now. So, okay, this is a practice suite. This is the way that I created systems for automation and nurturing my practice members without feeling overwhelmed. This is how I get all of the things to my people while protecting and honoring my time and my money, because there's one monthly payment and it replaces my phone, my website, my fax, it can replace my scheduling system, but I still use Jane because I'm a huge fan. My e-blasting system, my posting system for social media, it replaces all of that stuff. It's one screen, it's one login if I have a VA who I want to share with. It's one place, right? You get how big that is. So, we've got a window for conversations, and this is all where all the conversations go, texting, Facebook messaging, Instagram, DMs, all of it goes in here. Voice, if someone calls, you can call them back from this window. Calendars, you can mirror your EHR calendar. What I want to get to here, though, is I want to show you the automations. So we have automations that we include in the practice suite. These are the workflows that we give our clients. We also give them a course on how to personalize them, how to change them around, and how to understand what they do. We've got a couple for new practice members, one for the day of their visit one for when they schedule. And they do things like they drop a voicemail that says, "Hey, I'm so glad you chose my practice. I'm really looking forward to meeting with you. I'm going to go ahead and send you an email over now." And then it sends an email that you've organized and pre-written at a time where you're quiet and you can do things like this and really focus on it instead of just throwing an email their way. We have a nurturing sequence if someone's hanging out on your website. I did post today about this piece. Let me show you that really quick. This is our practice suite website. We're about to start a boot camp for recalls. So it's the practicesuite.com/bootcamp or /home. And then this little guy right here is a chat widget. If someone fills this out right now, they're going to get a not so creepy message that says, "Hey, it's Dr. Jody. I see you're hanging out on my website right now. How can I help?" So you catch them when they're on it, right? That's a chat widget. If you don't have a chat widget, you're throwing money away. You just are. And all of that is automated. So it's not like I have to send that text. That text automatically goes out when somebody fills this guy out. Okay, let's go back. I'm getting distracted. So that's the website widget. We also have a capture form and an example of that. So we're also offering free audits. If you want us to audit your current SEO settings, just drop the word SEO below where you're watching this and I'll find you. So the pop-up that will happen in just a couple of seconds, hopefully. If somebody fills out the form for the pop-up, they're going to get that same message that says, "Hey, it's Dr. Jody. I see you're hanging out on my website right now." So I'm going to go ahead and there it is. I see you're hanging out on my website right now in not such a creepy way, right? How can I help? What's up? And so they'll get that too. That's another automation that we include. We also have a whole sequence for once someone schedules, but then we also have day of visit one. So the day that they're coming in, they get a text message and a email that says, "Today's the day. We can't wait to meet with you." And then this is something that has a manual action, and I'll show that to you in a second. And then we have a new lead, and we have an entire reactivation campaign that will take you less than 10 minutes a month to move through. It's incredible. So the other thing I wanted to show you is in step boards. So a step board is kind of like a big overview of all of the different workflows, where your clients are in each system, right? So if all of my new practice members will have a card on this board that's under before day of visit. When I move their card to day of visit one, that triggers them getting the email and the text. When I move their card to after visit one, that triggers them getting the email and them getting the text. The reason we did it this way is because if somebody cancels last minute, I don't want them getting an email that says, "Hey, it was so great to see you today," because you didn't see them today, silly, right? That would be silly. So there is a personal experience, and we use what we call step boards, and we set all of this up for you and give it to you. The only other thing I wanted to show you tonight is when we build a practice suite, we also have a done by you, a done with you, and a done for you. If you're like, "This is so not what I want to spend my time doing," I get it, you guys. Give it to us and let us build it for you because we do it all day long and we're really good at it. If you're like, "I really want to do this on my own and personalize it," it's all of $10 to get a suite. So come over and get a suite. Go to thepracticesuite.com and /home. That's where you're going to get your $10 suite. Okay, the next thing I want to show you is the courses that we have inside of the suite. So inside of bundles and bonuses, we have a course called Workflow Wizardry. And it shows you how all of the workflows work. And it also shows you how you can change pieces around if there's something in it that you don't like, or if you, all of the texting and email templates need to be personalized. So it shows you how to do that. We've really, truly, honestly thought of everything. So the point of me coming on and sharing this with you is I want you to start thinking about whether or not you use a practice suite. How are you nurturing people who express interest in your care before, during, and after visit one? Do you have a plan for them? If they've come in for visit one and they're doing visit by visit care, is there a plan in place to nurturing them to the next offer that you have? If there's not, does that work for your practice? And if it does, kudos to you. But if you're sitting around saying, I know that I could give more and do more and serve more, then there are options for you. And um, I think that our options are pretty awesome. So with that being said, I'm wishing you a beautiful evening, and I invite you to go make the world better with great care, and hopefully we'll talk soon.